Good morning, Jazz. How are you?
Good morning, Lena. I'm good. How are you
Great.
doing?
I'm doing well this morning. So I'm here with our associate lawyer, Jasmeet Ajrawat, and we have some exciting things to talk about today. One of the topics that we have been asked about quite a bit lately is, what are the benefits of having a lawyer draft your will? Why can't, for example, I just go online and use a will kit and draft my own will? So I'm sitting here with Jazz, who is one of our lawyers who specializes in estates and has drafted a lot of wills over the years. And I would love to hear your feedback on this. Jazz, can you tell us a little bit about what are the benefits of having a lawyer draft your will? What are the risks of not? Anything that you think might be beneficial for us?
Sure. So let's start with the benefits of having a lawyer draft a will for you. From my experience, clients usually have various questions as the terminology used in wills is very specific and very legal. So they have a lot of questions as to what a guardian can do and what an executor can do. With a will kit, you don't really get those answers. Some of them do provide guidelines. However, they are very standardized answers that you could normally just find on any website. With a lawyer, you have the ability to ask them questions that may delve deeper into what an executor's capabilities are and how they can potentially limit those. There's also the benefit of sound legal advice on who you are appointing. So if you, for example, a lot of people would like to appoint guardians that are out overseas. And we always bring to their attention that when you are appointing someone that's overseas, there's the potential that they may not be appointed due to the cross-jurisdictional issues. There's also the executors. They may be appointing two executors, and we always bring to their attention that, hey, look, if the executors don't get along, there could potentially be a conflict. And these are things people sometimes do not think about when drafting their wills, and the will kits sometimes do not clarify.
Okay, that's great. So just to summarize, I mean, I know we're talking a bit about executors here. For people who have never done a will before, maybe did a will years ago and aren't as familiar with, let's say, the terminology of a will, just to summarize, the things that you've mentioned so far deal with the executor, which is the person that you're choosing to represent your estate after you've passed away. So that's typically the person who will be making most of the decisions, following your instructions, distributing your estate as per your instructions in your will. So some of the big risks that you've pointed out have to do with, hey, I'm someone who hasn't done a will before, but I have two good friends or two kids, and I'd like to appoint both of them. And the risk with that is what exactly?
Well, the risk would be that there's a potential for them not to be able to agree on certain decisions, and that could result in a delay to the estate or a potential court order for variation or a decision from them on what should be the appropriate choice for the estate itself.
Perfect. So
And
it's not so much that having two executors is a bad idea or you can't have it. A lot of people have that in their will. It's more that having an appointment, having a consultation with a lawyer affords you with the opportunity for you as the lawyer to delve into the relationship a little bit deeper and say, okay, if you're appointing both of your kids as your executor, what is the relationship between the kids? Can they typically make decisions well together? Do you foresee any issues with them being able to cooperate in a manner that is going to be easy and facilitate the distribution of your estate? Is that sort of what you're saying?
exactly. So it allows them like an open conversation with their lawyer to figure out what the best solution would be. You can incorporate certain clauses that would allow for both executors to be appointed and still act with the still be able to make decisions for the estate while acting together, but through like a different mechanism, so that there is no conflict.
Okay. Okay, great.
There's also a few other benefits. One, a lawyer can also discuss with you the tax reduction or minimization strategies that are available. And then there's also the signing procedure. So the signing procedure is not straightforward sometimes. And in Ontario, there is strict compliance, which means that if it's not followed, your will is potentially ruled invalid. That can have severe consequences for estates, especially if they do not follow the laws of intestate in Ontario. Laws of intestate are basically what happens to your estate when you pass away without a will. So I do see there's a few benefits to having a lawyer draft a will for you or assist you in the drafting of your will.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So again, just to summarize, some of the benefits of having a legally drafted will with a lawyer are that you're able to have a full consultation, ask the types of questions that you need answers for, and also have issues, potential issues brought to light that you might not consider, such as certain decisions that you might include in your will have tax implications that you wouldn't know about.
Yeah,
Certain
exactly.
decisions in terms of who you're appointing as an executor or a beneficiary may have implications that, I mean, you probably would be able to pick out in about 2 seconds. How many wills do you think you've drafted in your career?
I've probably done more than 500, and that's another benefit for any clients that come to myself or any other lawyer. You do get access to our experience of drafting various different types of clauses and how they take effect when administered. We also keep ourselves up to date with case law, which allows us to ensure that your will is still valid for years to come.
Well, that's great. So look, is there ever a situation where a will kit is a good idea? I mean, look, at Axess Law, our mandate is to try to provide as many Canadians with access to legal services as we possibly can. So whether they're getting it through a will kit or through us or through another lawyer, I mean, does it matter as long as the end result is something that's necessary? I mean, I know the numbers right now, 56% of Canadian adults don't have a will. Is there ever a situation where you'd say, hey, listen, it is a good idea because it's better for them to have a will, even if it's not drafted with a lawyer, than to not have one at all?
Yeah, so I think we live in a very sophisticated society with the advent of the internet. There's information available about any topic. You can become an expert overnight if you'd like to. However, I would like to mention that some will kits are not as great as others. So it's important that when you do choose a will kit, you choose an appropriate one that is good for your circumstances, which may be difficult to judge. There are circumstances where a will kit may be very useful, and that's for potentially situations where there's a need for urgency. For example, if you are going on a trip, sometimes people do last-minute will kits to get their wishes documented. And again, a will is usually better than no will. Yeah, those would be the circumstances that I think a will kit would be appropriate. I know from experience also that some lawyers will actually use will kits for emergency appointments in hospitals and long-term care homes and things like that when they do visits, because it allows them to quickly draft the document and get it signed so that it's valid and it documents their wishes.
Okay, that's great. So it's kind of a case of, look, if it's between not having a will at all and using a will kit without legal advice, you know, it's probably better to have a will, but it's also a case of a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So you may very well be able to draft one and it's wonderful and it works perfectly and there are no issues.
Yeah.
But there are also a lot of cases where it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah, so like we refer to it in our practice, right? Wills can be ticking time bombs. The issues aren't noticed until 5-10 years later. And at that point, it's too late to correct. So.
Okay. No, that's great. Jasmeet, thank you so much for your feedback this morning on another Friday morning. Is there anything else you want to mention on this topic that we haven't covered briefly in our little chat?
No, I think we covered quite a bit about it. I just want to reiterate that, yes, will kits can be very helpful and beneficial if used correctly. However, if you're an individual that does not feel comfortable doing one of those themselves, then I do 100% recommend that you speak to a lawyer just for that peace of mind. We always we take into consideration everyone's situations. We've dealt with various types of blended families and things like that, so we can quickly assess your situation and draft a document that will effectively carry out your wishes.
Okay, that's perfect. And last question for you. These days, it's difficult to get into an office to meet with a lawyer, to have your will drafted with various social distancing requirements in effect. So I think a lot of people are saying, look, let me just draft something online. Can you explain very briefly what we're doing at Axess Law to help people in these situations?
Yeah, so Axess Law, we are doing everything virtually, which means just as now that me and Lena are speaking, we can quickly contact clients once they've made an appointment with us, go through their wishes, and then display the document on the computer that they're using so that they can go through it with us. Afterwards, the last part of the process is the signing, which can now also be done virtually.
Perfect. So essentially, I could be sitting up in, let's say, Moose Factory, and make an appointment with you. We could meet over, video call, whatever platform is comfortable for the client or we're able to use, and have a full consultation like this with you. At the end of the appointment, you would have a drafted document ready for me to view on my monitor or on my tablet or whatever.
Exactly. Usually the appointments take about an hour. By the end of the hour, we will be sending you the documents, and before that, we will display it on the monitor so that we can go through it, review it, correct anything that you may wish to get corrected, or clarify anything that you do not understand. And I think that's very beneficial because we walk you through the will step by step and explain what each clause does and how it affects your estate.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Jazz, for your time this morning.
You're welcome.
Have a great Friday, and I look forward to covering more topics like this in the future.
Most definitely. Thank you, Lena.